Hello. So today we're here at the Newcastle University student elections. We're here with all of the opportunities candidates, and they're just going to basically outline their pledges for if they get elected and everything. So yeah, I'll just give it over to them to tell.
Yeah. Hello. So my name is Abhilash Naidu, and right now I'm a international business management student. So there I have many pledges. So but we have to give them like four. So I just gave some of the four pledges that I had. So I practically focus on student experience, student engagement, and their opportunity since I'm running for opportunity officer. So I have like four one. So I just name it like first from them like a community circle, then there's a skill swap, and uh, there's a spotlight rewards, and last one is a industry insight. So it's basically one of my key term. So I'm going to explain them in my stage appearance in all right.
Hello, I'm James Geary. I am a third year math student, and my pledges are as follows. So, my first pledge is to make an adjustment to Freshers Week because at the minute it essentially had this booking system that meant that if you were sort of organised, you'd kind of go along to things, but if you sort of didn't get involved with that at the start or didn't necessarily get the media across to you, then essentially students completely missed out on the Freshers activities that the Students' Union offered, which isn't really fair for a lot of students. I also wanted to create sort of better systems for societies to be able to utilise all the facilities within the university and the unions, whether that means sort of creating a better system for essentially societies to communicate with various schools within the university to be able to access the facilities that are there, and as such sort of be able to use all the facilities. I also want to sort of do sort of the thing that you would say a students' union should have. So have large-scale events sort of in the venue that are sort of directed towards students on a regular basis. So the sort of things, club nights or sort of evenings that are not things that are currently offered, but will one allow the students' union to sort of have a better revenue source, but one will allow for a better sort of general student body. Whereas at the minute, that crowd sort of always ends up in town, which may not necessarily be the best way to sort of create a unified student experience. And finally, I wanted to create a scheme that allowed, or that rewarded societies that sort of integrated international students and home students together properly. Because at the minute, you have all the international societies that do fantastic jobs, but often what you'll find is that those students will stay within that group and that society the whole time and won't necessarily get a full and complete experience within their time at university. So I'd like to sort of reward both sides of that and give those societies sort of additional funding and additional support to put on events like that.
Hi, I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Rory. I'm a third year music student. Uh, Here are my pledges. A lot of mine are based around the idea of publicity and improving images for societies. So for my first pledge, I'd like to address incoming students and the trial period which is offered by societies for new events. I think it would be a good idea to work with societies to find out their best way to create welcoming events and whether they need more support from the student union. Another pledge I'd like to do is just to generally improve social media presence and advertising for these societies. I think that's another thing that societies are fairly successful at doing themselves, but certainly smaller societies may need more support to get the word out there. Systems like Give It a Go are particularly helpful and perhaps could use improvement for this. My third pledge on the same spectrum is that is I'd like to work on promoting and improving the ability for societies to collaborate together and create joint events. I know there's already previous existence of collaborations between lots of different similarly minded societies, and I think there's a lot of room to enable that and make it easier for them to do so. And then my wildcard pledge, which I think is really, hopefully will appeal to particularly committee members of societies, is to improve the storage system currently available for societies, because I know personally I've had a lot of issue with trying to find a decent amount of storage for society equipment.
Thank you. Hi, so my name's Respawn Father. I'm a third year ancient history student. My pledges are I'd like to introduce kind of like a month-long adjustment period so students receive consistent opportunities after freshers and welcome weeks to help kind of foster an idea of community. Like James said earlier, it can be kind of hard with freshers and you kind of get swept up in it, and if you don't go along, then there's not much there. So if we introduce kind of a period where there's consistent opportunities of different degrees, I think that could be really useful. I want to secure funding for affordable memberships and adjust the overwhelming fair format by introducing a thematic layout decided by societies and clubs. From personal experience, the the Freshers' Fair can be very overwhelming because it's like very hectic. And I think if we organised it by theme, decided by societies and clubs, that could really help. I want to increase the use of campus locations and equipment for social events that aren't used to their full potential. For example, the venue. I think the venue is really underutilised in what it can do, and because I've had work experience down there, I know what it could do, and I think it could be a lot more. And I would like to ensure weekly society highlights utilising Give It a Go to promote societies consistently in person and online. And I've delved deeper into these pledges for like 6 minutes in a video that I'm posting on my Instagram soon. So yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name's Sophie. I'm a third year Ancient History and Archaeology student. As many committee members will be fully aware, society membership has kind of started to hinder a bit this year. So my pledges tend to be around that. So first of all, I want to find new spaces for students to be on campus. As we all know, we currently don't have that many rooms. As someone's tried book rooms in the past, I had to wait about a month before I could find one that was available. And I want to create new events on campus to highlight more cultural events. Currently at the moment we have 1 week of cultural events, and I feel like it could be better done where if we highlight specific events instead of trying to squeeze them all into 1 week. I'd also, on a similar note, like to do specific weeks based on society types, like an academic society week, to highlight how they can affect us and how it can be to show students what else they can do. And finally, I'd like to show how volunteering and getting involved with the SU can actually help with the students' future, instead of just thinking about what they can currently do. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anitya, and I am currently a postgraduate student pursuing business analytics. And my pledges are that I want to host 2 fresher events, one for the entire PG community and one for the entire UG community, so that it helps to create better networking, because people do not even know the other person who's studying at the same level. The second one would be a first time free pass. I know that currently we provide the for 6 weeks free trial for the societies and volunteering fair, but due to unawareness, students usually miss on those things. And in this way, when I launch a first time free pass, students can engage with the societies whenever they join for the first time. It's not just based on the very first month of they initially joining in. Then I want to launch an anonymous Your Voice portal on the current website, where student can anonymously post their ideas, events, and anything that they would like to see the change in. Of course, it's not going to be entirely anonymous because of the security and security purposes, but in that way, it would be more engaging, and only the authorities would know about who is posting those things. And the last would be the student-led initiative funds, where I will be giving the student the funds from our part, so that they can initially start their uh, anything like volunteering or any sort of society, and funding would not be an issue. Thank you.
Time now. I'm not new to this environment because I have already been involved actively in a lot of clubs and societies and social events as well, immediately after coming to Newcastle University here. And my experience in taking part in socials, clubs and societies, all of this has been 16 plus years now. Okay, so some of the things I pledged was that I'll be there for you. My physical presence is something that you should anticipate when I'm going to organize things like Freshers Week, Clubs and Societies Fair, Freebeans Fair, those kind of things. Okay, presence really helps because where is the opportunities officer is what people could ask when they need someone to talk to after coming for those events. So I want to be there physically present for you all. I'll uplift you all also as well with my spirits and my energy. I also, the third pledge is like to energize you all, okay? I will not just be in a corner like, oh my gosh, like so many people cannot do this. No, I will not be there. I will be right there in front of you, okay? I would like to talk to many people as much as I can because I have 16 years of experience working for different clubs and societies, voluntary organizations, doing part-time work. I'm already in 6 societies here at the moment. I'm also doing the university-wide language program, Korean language. I'm also doing the NCL Plus Award, NCL Plus Advanced Careers Award as well. I'm also going to introduce student-led workshops and alumni linking schemes, okay? I'm already, while this is going, I have a compulsory research project going on as my final year, part of my final year biomedical sciences program. So for that, I have submitted my abstract because I got to know that the UK British Conference of Undergraduate Researchers program, they are going to have it. So I submitted an abstract for that, and I'm waiting for the approval so I can go talk to alumni and other people, and I can link you all to those kind of people. Also, this may sound very ambitious, but I want to introduce Newcastle University's Got Talent. I have experience organizing events previously, working as the vice president of the Interact Club back in Sri Lanka because I'm from Sri Lanka. Okay, and then I've also been part of the United Nations as a working as a United Nations club back in my high school. So I have more and more experience on my LinkedIn and Facebook and on my Instagram. You can see everything. Everything is open and honest. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. All of these candidates will be speaking later on the stage. So, yeah, thank you for listening, and we urge you to go cast your votes.
Thank you.
Presidential candidates for the 2025-2026 academic year. I'm just going to ask them a few questions, so please begin with introducing yourselves and tell us why you'd be a good president for next year.
Hi, I'm Afia, and I will be a good president for next year because I'm championing diversity and inclusion, and I want every voice to be heard in the SU. So yeah, vote for me, please come forward, make this an inclusive, fun space. It's all about your student experience. So yeah, vote for me.
Hi, I'm Leo. I'm the current president, so I'm rerunning. And that means I would be coming into the role with a lot of the experience, a lot of the connections, a lot of the technical knowledge already there. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of national campaigning around the cost of living, higher education funding, that I would really, really love to continue in this role. And I think I would be a good fit for it because I've done it already. So I would hope I kind of know what I'm doing.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm running to improve engagement with the student union. I think a lot of students at the university don't really know what happens there. I think they have very limited knowledge of all that is available to them through the student union, and I want people to know about it. I want to shout about it from the rooftops, so I hope that gets your voice, your vote, and that's why you should vote for me for president.
Hi everyone, I'm Ilsa Hartley. I'm doing an MA in curating art here, and I also did my undergraduate here. I'm running for president because I really want to be able to give back to a union that has given me so much over the last 4 years, to develop the community that I have felt so strongly here, and to really give back to the students and the union that has made my time here just wonderful. So please vote for me for president. I think I'd be fantastic.
Lovely, very nice. You each did 4 pledges, but one of them was the New Initiative pledge, and I just wanted to ask about that for each of you.
Yeah. My new initiative pledge is to create a POC safe space. As somebody that is championing diversity and inclusion, this is really important for me to really, see people from ethnic backgrounds come together and really be heard. I think that's really important because someone that's been here, I've done my undergrad here for 4 years, and I've really felt there isn't a lot of student representation amongst ethnic backgrounds, and I really just want to change that so that everybody really feels they're contributing to the SU and really taking their own student experience into their own hands, and that requires for your voice to be heard. So that is my new initiative pledge, and I really want to push that one forward. Thank you.
My new initiative is to work with students to develop student-led and student-created EDI training. So this is something I've already done a bit of this year with working with students to develop disability awareness training for staff. And I think that's come across really strong because since it's been student-led, student-created, there's student content in it, it's very much kind of true and authentic to what disabled students here need. And I'd like to be able to extend that to other things, like to international students, to the students of color community, to queer identities, because I feel this student-led training helps staff learn who we are as people rather than just learning about our characteristics and how to include us on the basis of that.
Thank you. I'm looking to improve nutritionally beneficial, free and affordable food access on campus. If you don't feed your body and your mind, how can you finish your degree? People are hugely affected at the minute by the cost of living crisis, and the first thing that is affected is their food. So expanding initiatives that are already available on campus, hopefully bringing back some of the initiatives like £1 lunches, and improving access to fruit and veg, because 73% of people aren't getting their fibre a day. That's a big issue.
The pledge that I've come up with in terms of a new initiative is to develop a culture club, not like Boy George, but to kind of really bring people together in ways that they might not expect, and to give different communities the opportunity to show different traditions, different foods, speak different languages in a safe space where we can all learn about it together. I think clubs and societies are a great way to make new friends once you've initially met the people on your course, but we can do more, and a community club sharing culture would do this.
Lovely, very nice. I think as president, first and foremost, you'll be representing students above anything else. And I just wanted to ask you, how will you be putting students first when you're president?
I'll be putting students first by really listening back to what people are asking for. I think it's so important to contribute. I want to bring in a forum. I want everybody's voices to be heard. I want you to give feedback. I really want you to feel that your voice is making an impact on the union and feel that you're really being heard. I want to kind of change policies, but that requires to hear back from you. I don't want to make all the change myself. I'm merely the spokesperson of your experience, and I really just want to champion that. So it's really about engaging. I want people to be able to email me, come and meet me for a coffee, come have a chat, I really want to hear from you, and that's the most important part.
I think from my end, I know that we do a lot to collect student voice already, both within the Students' Union and the university. You've probably seen all the surveys in your inbox. And I think the really important thing is making sure that everything we gather is heard at a high level. So taking this to University Council, University Executive Board, and making sure they really, really listen to the student experience, but at the same time also taking this to a national level, because a lot of the things we struggle with, other students' unions will be struggling with. It's something I'm doing a bit of at the moment, so making sure we work with NUS. Just making sure that the Newcastle student voice is collected, but more importantly, that we shout it and we make sure it's heard by the people in power.
Yeah, I think what Leo's saying is really important there. It's enacting change based on people's feedback, and we've got so many mechanisms for that existing at the university, at the student union, and it's ensuring that we're acting on that. You can say what you like, but if nothing's coming of it, what is the point? So that is the change I'd like to bring next year, and making sure more is being done.
It's difficult to go last because I obviously agree with everything that's been said before me. The way I will work for students is to listen to each individual voice, which any candidate would do, and I think we would all do an amazing job at listening to these voices. So whoever you choose to vote for, we'll do it for you.
Very nice. I think we've got about a minute left, so I'm just going to ask for a final question. In 10, 15 seconds, can you sum up why you want to be president next year and why people should vote for you?
I want to make it fun. I want everybody to be heard. A vote for me is a vote to be heard. And that is the most important thing. So please vote for me. Vote for you.
I've already shown I can do a lot of the things that you would need out of a president. I've already done a lot of work around making change here and nationally. So if you liked that, vote for me again. And if we didn't get on so well this year, give it another try.
I want to enact change. Hear your voice and put it into action. That's all I'm here for.
I want to give back to the uni and the union that has given me so much. I want to work for each individual. And if you vote Ilsa, which I think you will, I will do that all for you.
these are the candidates for the union chair, so if you want to quickly introduce yourself and what your main policy is.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm running for chair of scrutiny, and my main thing is that I want to raise awareness for the scrutiny committee and the disciplinary committee, because I feel like no one really knows what they are and what happens, and unless you have an experience with them. So raising awareness through like social media and things like that, and just making sure that everyone knows what's going on.
Hi, I'm Oliver. I'm running for Chair of Council. My main thing is I want to increase attendance, increase first year engagement, and I want to make council more fair and do more socials around council.
So could you give like a quick overview of how you're planning on doing this maybe?
Okay, so for increasing attendance, I want to work with relevant societies, debate politics, etc., to get more people interested in speaking around it, and I want to make a role called the Stage 1 Engagement Rep to get more first years involved, and that's going to be all about facilitating first year engagement, making council easier. And socials, I want to do a lot of socials and do probably debriefs of doing so Luther's book out the downstairs. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, and I think for me it's more just educational videos, like what's happening, examples of things that are happening within the council. Yeah, just doing that really.
So are you aiming it more towards first years, or are you trying to go for more like mature students? What's exactly your angles?
So first years of the group we're seeing the lowest attendance amongst at the moment, which is why I'm doing a lot towards first years, but also with societies, social media teams, etc. I want to aim that towards any student who wants to come along. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me it's similar really, like any student, but I mean first years are probably more likely to be encouraged, so yeah.
Is there any reason you've gone for these roles? Like, is there a personal tackle side from it?
I'm a big fan of student council. I really like it. And I want to be able to use the gavel because that sounds fun. It looks fun. So yes.
I've got a lot of experience in like democracy and things. I did work experience at a local council back home and like shadowed an MP and things, so I'm interested in that sort of thing. So yeah, for me personally it's that.
Is there any reason that you've gotten into this now, or have you been doing it for like the past in your uni experience?
So I've attended every student council meeting this year, but I only came along because a friend told me about it, which is why I'm very interested in getting more first years involved, advertising more to first years. But yes, I've been to every student council meeting this year. I've had a lot of roles since the start. So yeah, and I think it's a really important decision-making body. So yes, that's why I'm interested.
Yeah, and I'm president of the English Society at the minute, so I thought it was like a good next step. So yeah.
Is there any like, other angles that you want to tackle, especially with maybe the other members in the, union, stuff like that?
So I'd really like to generally use this stage 1 engagement rep role to not just get people involved in council, but also get people more involved in all areas of the union, whether it be working committees, executive committees like well-being and that sort of thing, or student media as well. So I just want that role to make everything a hell of a lot easier for all first years.
Yeah, same sort of answer really. Like, yeah, just making sure that getting more people involved and things. So yeah.
Is there anything else you want to like talk about maybe, especially with any other experience that you've had that's maybe not related to the uni directly?
I mean, yeah, I obviously shadowed the MP. That was really cool. Yeah, really good experience. I mean, a lot of experience in canvassing and things. So yeah, you'll see me on campus quite a bit. But yeah, that's basically it really.
No, not really. Yeah, nothing jumps to mind. That's really relevant for that.
Is there any like maybe anything else that you want to do after that's this is the experience you need? Maybe future plans?
I mean, it'd be pretty cool to bring my experience of council forward to do things. I mainly want to fix council at the moment because I think that's the biggest decision-making body. We've seen the lowest attendance rates ever this year at student council, so that's something I want to sort out. And then once that's sorted, I know I'd be happy to move on to something else, maybe liberation officer role, maybe further, to try and fix other aspects of the union.
Yeah, I'd maybe like to go for a sabbatical officer role at some point, and then maybe like join the civil service after uni and things like that. So yeah.
Is this like naturally the next best step for you then? Have you always planned on doing this since being like a first year, or is it just kind of something that's come to you? Or
yeah, it has for me, but
I mean, yeah, I am a first year, so yes, it is indeed something I've found wanting to be first year. But yes, it's something I've wanted to do since probably my second council meeting back in November. And yeah, I'm really drawn to the role. I really love student council. I'm very passionate about it. I'm a huge policy nerd, so everything to do with that. So yeah.
And I mean, is there just anything else you want to say? Maybe talk a bit more about, maybe develop your policies a little bit more. Just because you said you wanted to do more with social media, so what kind of things would you like to post?
Yeah, I mean, more videos sort of saying like, this is what we do, this is examples of the things that we're tackling, just to make people more aware. Because I mean, when I first said I was going for the role, no one knew what I was on about. And yeah, I think there's sort of a negative stigma sometimes around like disciplinary, particularly. And I think it's just about changing that and making people realise that actually it's just about safeguarding the constitution. So
yeah. So it's a difficult thing to talk about because chair of council, as the role, it's not really supposed to be putting through many motions and introducing a lot of new policies. But my main thing is just I'm going to be working with people to promote council, to facilitate more council involvement, and yeah, that's what I want to do. Fix the attendance problem we're currently experiencing through making council more engaging, more effective, and more fun.
How would you do that?
More socials around it, get people to know each other better. As I say, debriefs afterwards in Luther's, dinner and drinks, etc. And yeah, really hoping that will increase attendance, make people enjoy council more, make people enjoy being around the people in council more, and yeah.
I mean, there's still going to be, like you said, with social media, but how are you going to push the social media?
through my account, Sophia for Scrutiny. Yeah, probably through that. Also, like through this other societies, sort of like pushing it to them, making them put it on the story and then repost it and things like that. Yeah.
How have you both overall found just, campaigning and stuff like that?
Pretty good, yeah. I've launched my social. I think I was one of the first people to launch my social medias. Yeah, well, actually, has been a bit of a problem. There is someone running a hate account called "Don't Vote Oliver," which has been interesting. I have no idea who it is, and I promise it's not me. Unlike because a lot of people have asked. But yeah, that's how campaign's been going for me. It's been an interesting ride. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. I've had a lot of questions and a lot of people come up to me about it. So yeah, it's going well. I think when we're on campus as well, it'll be really interesting just to chat to people and get their thoughts.
So it's been overall positive, mostly?
Mostly, apart from Oliver, clearly.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I think it's all been in good fun. It's yeah. I think it's saying "don't vote" in a bit of a tongue-in-cheek way. So yes, hoping it's not too serious.
So with like your friends, you said that your friends didn't really know what it meant to be running for this. So what was like your friends' reactions or like family and stuff like that?
I think they were quite surprised, but then kind of not, because I'm quite determined and driven. So yeah, they were probably just like, oh, it's another madcap scheme. But yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, they were all supportive. They came to watch me at the campaign. So yeah.
I think my family and parents in particular gave me a bit of an eye roll, but my friends have all said that they think I'd be really good in the role. Love people who regularly attend council. So yeah, I'm mostly supportive, but certainly
not very surprised.
Not very surprised. No, not at all.
Other than the hate account.
Yeah.
Here we go. So not much time left, and is there any just last words that you want to say?
Vote for me, please. That's all I can say, really. Yeah, I'll be good in the role, and yeah, I'll give it my all.
Yeah, vote for me. I'll make council better, more fun, more engaging, get more people involved, make it easier to get involved, and yeah.
Very positive. Thank you so much. Have a really good day.
Hiya guys, I'm here today with our prospective sports officers. They're going to talk to us a bit today what they're about, go over some of their pledges. So please take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Duggan. I'm the current Athletic Union officer here at the Union.
I'm Sophie, I'm president of women's basketball.
Hi, I'm Lydia, I'm president of pole and aerial.
Hi, I'm Abby and I'm president of wheelchair basketball.
Hi, I'm Emma and I'm secretary of korfball.
Hi, I'm Claire. I'm welfare for triathlon and cycling.
That's fantastic. Right, guys, can you give us a quick summary, quick overview of your pledges, what you're hoping to do next year, should you be successful, anything and everything that you feel the students would maybe want to know? Go for it.
So we've all been tasked with 3 pledges and then an idea. So my first pledge is to break down the financial barriers that students face to get involved in sport / when they're in their club. So to recap that very briefly, that's to adapt the way we do our grant allocations at the beginning of the year. There's lots of conversations in the works that we've been talking about one, organising that before summer actually hits so clubs know when they start in September, how much money they'll have for the year. Working with the clubs that are more equipment heavy / have those essential equipment that they need to change over because of safety requirements every couple of years, like American football, for example, have to replace their helmets. My second pledge is to do with improving our committee training and the touch points that we've got for club leaders throughout the year. Currently, we just have one intense day for only 4 members of the exec committee, so president, secretary, treasurer, and welfare. We want to adapt that to make it, and not to put it off, to make it a week training, but it's not like that intense. There's just certain sections that you can join throughout the week, so it could be a 10 to 11 on a Monday and a 4 till 5 on a Thursday. And it's more tailored to your role / what you want to achieve throughout the year. And that would also be working with the companies that we're currently working with, like Beyond Equality, to do a lot of like club culture stuff. My third pledge, because sorry I'm talking for ages, is about club exposure and broadening that for all clubs, not just the ones that we currently advocate for at the moment. So that'll be working more with NCL Sport to how we can do our athlete of the week, our community club of the week, those kind of aspects to highlight the work clubs are doing on and off the field. And then the new initiative one is about working with the advancement team. So that's the alumni team we have at the university. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is money, because we can get a lot of funding through that. 2 is raising the profile of the dual career pathways that you've got post-university. So within that, it's not only talking about the sporting opportunities you've got, but what sport gives you as a whole. So, for example, like I think it's 91% of women that are in managerial roles in their career come from a sporting background. So it's just talking about the skills that you get from doing sport. Yeah, thank you.
So my first pledge to do with student engagement is about breaking down sort of all the barriers to sport. So that's not just focusing on the financial barrier or the disability or injury barrier. It's all barriers that people might face. So that's listening to the student voice. What issues do we have and how can we work around that? To sort of improve the experience of engaging with these clubs, it's once again supporting with extra training, but also improving on the wraparound support for student athletes. So the university have ample help and support available, but sometimes that's not really accessible to student athletes. You can often feel overwhelmed. You don't know who to go to, you don't know where to look, so it's sort of making a structure that students can access. The third one for sort of champion the sport here at Newcastle is expanding on books and non-books opportunities. So through with books, it's enhancing the resources that we already have in place so clubs can all access them. And with non-books, it's helping them sort fixtures, it's promoting our social sports and our intramural leagues. And then finally, the new idea is sort of an initiative called One Club, One Community, which is about embracing our community here at Newcastle by expanding spectators, fans, visibility and coverage on social media of all the clubs and all opportunities we have here at Newcastle, not just focusing on sort of the mainstream sports.
So for my kind of engagement one, it's more about funnily enough, it's kind of also named One Club, One Community. What my aspect has gone down is sport obviously is a lot of participation, but it's also not just that. There's volunteers, there's people that obviously will coach, there's people that just want to spectate sport and get involved in the fitness aspect, whether it's going to the gym. And we have sport, we have fitness, it's kind of encompassing it into this, we've got a community. You might just join in or see one club, but you're actually involved in this bigger thing. With that, what I want to do is kind of introduce more networking events for committee, for clubs to come together, do the interclub things that they're already doing on socials, but do it with their actual sport. With my second one, it's about improving that committee training. Committee obviously is the backbone to every single sports club we've got. With that, obviously we have the long training at the start of the year, and we've got drop-ins this year, which is great. What I really want to create is continuous drop-ins, continuous kind of toolkits that people can have, whether you're in welfare, whether you're doing the competitions, whether you're doing events. Because I think a lot of the time we have this exec committee, but a lot of us actually have comp reps, event reps, we have obviously social secs. It's making sure that all the committee members knows we've got support, there's people out there to support you, and we want those touch points to kind of increase. Then my final initiative is all about like inclusivity. As someone who's actually not come from before uni a big background of sport, coming to university and kind of being like, oh, this actually could be fun, let's try it. I did that I went to the sports fair, but there was actually someone there on a pole doing pole. I got to see it, I got to experience it. So with that, I want to ensure that people actually get to see the sports they can get involved in, get involved with like the societies that they might be involved in, but how they can get involved with sport through that. But yeah.
So my pledge to increase student engagement is to link up society, social and book sports, as there's so many resources that particularly performance and AU clubs generally have access to that society and social sports don't. And I believe that sort of bringing all these aspects of sport here at Newcastle together, one, will create more community, but also encourages students to sort of get involved in that running of an intramural team or their books team, and how that sort of encouragement and that community that's built will lead to students having a more enjoyable experience, as it sort of gets rid of that almost hierarchy that there can be. That then leads me on to my next point. This pledge is all about sort of champion intramural sport. I know that sometimes intramural sport can be overlooked, and I'd really want to look at championing and advertising intramural matches and successes, both on sort of advertisement around campus, such as the screens around the SU, the sports centre, but also on social media, and really encouraging the entire student body to go down and support intramural matches. My next pledge is then to host drop-ins to aid clubs in becoming as most accessible and inclusive as they possibly can. This is both for aspects of finance and general accessibility for those with disabilities. Financially, accessing sport can be really expensive, and I think some clubs, if a student approaches them, don't quite know where to send them and how to get the best support. So it would be about sort of supporting clubs there, because some clubs do require students to put a lot of investment down that may not be covered by where the students automatically go for financial aid, but also to really champion clubs who do already sort of help students access these facilities, and help clubs and give them advice on access for both disabled and neurodivergent people. And then finally, my sort of idea to get students involved in sport is to hold a Get Involved in Sport event, and this would also combine with the Res Life scheme going on at student accommodation. This is to sort of revitalise the freshers' experience and to host all different sports across maybe multiple weekends within that freshers' first 2-week period, where you know, a sport will be on for an hour. In an hour slot, you'd be able to experience sport, and this just means that if you've never played a sport before, you're getting the opportunity to try it before you sort of commit. So yeah, that's my pledges.
So my first pledge is about improving the freshers fair. So at the moment you're quite limited to the amount of space because you've just got one small table in a sports hall with so many other different clubs. So this is about like having more space, so hiring another venue to split it across more space, and like Lydia said, actually having like someone on a pole, or like for korfball actually being able to have a korfball post up, because like coming from a sport where not many people know what it is when they join, it really helps to have like being able to demonstrate that. And the same with give it a go sessions, especially in the second semester. They're quite hard to host at the moment because you have to like get it approved and like say your specific time and day, whereas it would be easier to have like a taster period like they do at the beginning of the year, where it's just for like a week or two. Anyone can try any sport, you don't have to sign up, so there's no pressure, making it easier for the club and the people who want to try it. And my second pledge is about increasing like increasing the socialness between clubs. Obviously there's lots of socials within clubs already, but it would be nice to increase that between the different sports clubs, which leads me to my third pledge, which is about celebrating sporting achievements through more awards nights. So I know we have the AU Ball, but obviously this is quite limited because you have 64 sports clubs and obviously not enough awards for everyone. So it'd be nice to have opportunities for more people to get recognised, whether this gets split up with not as many sports clubs in each one and having like maybe one a term, and also an opportunity for all the sports clubs to get together. And then my final pledge is to introduce more intra-university tournaments organised by the SU. So this is, for example, like a netball tournament, but you have teams from like football, rugby, all of those, for not only an opportunity to try a different sport to your own, but to come together for it to be competitive if you want it to be, or just a bit of fun, and also offering it to people who aren't part of a sports club, and which also increases like social interactions between different sports clubs. Thank you.
Thank you. My pledge, my first one, is also about the financial barrier of joining sports. It would, obviously in this current climate, we would have to be outsourcing lots of donations, either from the alumni funds or various other funds within Newcastle and the North East. My second pledge is, again, about championing sports, every sport, whether that's Bucks, varsity, whatever someone's doing on a Saturday afternoon, and very personal achievements as well. And we need to be championing this, again, through visible things on campus, whether that's just at the arches, whether it's on screens, or in the courier, on social media, just as much like vocalness about it as possible. My third one is about inclusionary practices and making sure that the clubs and sports places are safe spaces for everybody, making sure that initiatives are a thing of the past. While I love a social as much as the next person, I'm happy to paint myself green, but no one else is being painted green. And like, I want to make sure that people respect one another, not just their elders, as a lot of those annoying phrases are. And then my final one is about, I really want to make a program of events about health and well-being for athletes. It is obviously a really important topic at the moment. You look at athletes like Simone Biles, absolute GOAT, only because she took out time to work on her mental health. And I think everybody needs to understand that that is very important for athletes to become best that they can be, and we need to learn more about that. So yeah, thank you so much.
That's been
I'm gonna pass the
fantastic,
mic
guys.
back.
Thank you so much. It's been brilliant to hear all your pledges. Remember to vote. Thank you, guys.
quickly answer like one of your pledges or why you'd be the best fit. So just quick go down the line, introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Cass. I'm from Iran and Turkey. I'm going for the Ethnic Diversity Officer role. My pledge is that I believe that a lot of universities' representatives are doing their best to represent the diversity and the minorities and try their best to help, but there's a lot of issues. One of them being that is my pledge is we, as essentially as student staff, are mediaries. We speak to the staff and we get the issues sorted. But sadly, the university is missing the staff roles that we answer to in a lot of these places. And what has happened is a lot of representatives are unable to be as effective as they can be. My pledge is that I'll work with the university, with the sabbatical officers, to bring the university's attention to this problem, so I can help the representatives better represent you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ela, a second-year mechanical engineering student. I'm running for International Student Officer this year. So my pledge is, I have few though, but I want to start with the most important one. When I applied to Newcastle University, I was like lacking a bit of funds. So I looked at the scholarships and I realized that the scholarships are limited for international students. So I will take steps to make more availability for scholarships in terms of international students, plus make a society fund for international students to join societies without thinking the membership prices. And the last one I want to mention is the legacy campaign. I realized in a student council, many sabbatical offices or liberation offices taking steps towards an action, but the action couldn't like continue till next year because obviously the members are changing in the council. So I pledge that legacy campaign to take one event or take one action, what happened in the last year, and continue, and bring another new one to continue, and the people will come after you will continue your action. So it'll be a more continuous way of doing business in the council, so the events that taking place and the steps been taken will be more sustainable. Yeah, these are the few pledges I have. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Yun Rodan, second year business management student. My pledge is that let international students get truly included in all of the aspects of my life. Now I'm in year 2, that only in year 2 that I realized that there are lots of opportunities I missed in year 1. And I just don't want us just like give us like, how to say, a door for us, just like let us be more included in all the events, no matter finding the jobs or more academically. Yes.
So a lot of your a lot of your pledges, like all of you, are very helpful for first years. Is there any that are specific to maybe second and third years, or maybe even a couple of postgrads?
Sorry, could you repeat again?
So do you have any pledges that are more catered to like maybe third years or people who are like fully into uni and stuff like that?
Could you guys answer first, because I need to think for a bit.
As I said, I'm here to help the representatives better represent students. Student reps are for everyone, not just first year, they're for second year, third year, postgrads. We, as the ethnic diversity officers, I worked as a diversity representative in a business school. Students all around from year 1 and even postgraduates come to me, they discuss issues and often misunderstandings that are often easily solvable with communication with staff. We understand that communication with staff can be really scary, and that's why we're here, and that's why I want to help the university help them be better reps by giving them more resources, because they're so passionate and they try so hard and they deserve the best, honestly.
Can I get the question one more time?
So is there any pledges that are more specific to second years or third years or maybe postgrads?
Oh yeah. So for the second years, I observe a lack of mentorship in terms of like applying for internships, applying for any other volunteering jobs they need on their CVs. So as an international student candidate, student officer candidate, I'm thinking more like based on like student-to-student mentorship, plus also our professors can be involved. We have a kind of a mentorship we have, but we're getting just feedbacks or making like monthly reports or even the termly reports, which is like not very frequent. So I don't think the students can benefit that much. So it could be good that if we have a mentorship program encouraging us to join volunteering events, internships, any other workshop events that students want to lead in their universities. Thank you.
I think mine is a little bit similar because I'm in year 2 and I know there's lots of like problems with people finding jobs this year. And yeah, as I mentioned in stage 2 before, when I when I joined this university career fair, when I approach a company, the recruiter just say, "Oh, sorry, we're only hiring homeschool students," which I'm sure that lots of international students feel the same way with me. It's kind of depressing when you hear that when you have the passion to finding the jobs, and also because we're not like native speakers, so we need more time to process information. So I think we should have more opportunity just for international students to get a job. Yeah.
So how would you all communicate with students to like display these jobs? Would it be through social media maybe or email or
How do I communicate?
like how would you, you know, give students notice of these careers or any of your pledges?
I think just give us more time and give us like maybe some like different ways of interview because I've attended few very like in assessment center in some companies, but I feel like compared to other people, I do feel that I need support to process all the interview. Yeah.
For you two?
You want to go first?
I don't think the question applies to me, does it?
Well, how would you communicate to just any student then? Like, how would you tell and help students understand just any of your pledges?
So I think, thankfully, for the angle I'm going at, it is targeting and working with the university and the sabbatical officers, because there are a lot of roles and a lot of means for students to already access them, and they're always encouraged to create more opportunities for students to communicate. But I think giving those reps the proper power and the proper staff communications to be able to then transfer those requests and communication is as equally important, because we as reps, we get a lot of reports, a lot of valid reports, but if we do not have the resources to discuss those reports with the university, and it's extra difficult, and I know a lot of diversity reps, a lot of reps in general in the schools do have to struggle with this, sadly. I believe in working with the university in helping the back end be better. We can help the front end and help those already available resources be more effective, which I think is easier for everyone.
Thank you. So for me, I want to, if it's possible, I want to more implement in what we learn in the courses. For example, as an engineering student, I receive a lot of mails, which is, for me, it's better because it's like, it's documented group of information. But when I get the flyers, I can just forget to apply. So if it's possible, it would be more implemented in our courses. That for example, in the induction week, they can go over with it, or in this term ends, the term starts, they can go over with it. That what other opportunities are available, which is not very encouraging this year because it's lack of communication probably, or the flyers are like flyers are not students like just forgetting things. So it'll be more better if we just put in the course structure, or we'll put in the more documentation of where like mailing, be more set physical. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
Hey, I'm here with our prospective student media officers. If you could all just say your names and your courses, please.
Hi, I'm Adam Lovegrove. I'm a third year English literature student.
Hi, I'm Libby. I'm a third year journalism student.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a master's creative writing student.
Hi, I'm Ebony. I'm a media and journalism master's student.
Hi, I'm Ashutosh. I'm MSc International Business Management.
Wonderful. Okay, we have some questions that have been given in. So, with breaking news expanding this year and prioritizing content creation, high-profile interviews, how do you guys plan to continue prioritizing this and allowing volunteers to have these opportunities?
Okay, so I've really enjoyed the introduction of the breaking news role this year. However, I do think that putting it on one person is quite a heavy workload. So my idea is to give it to a team of sub-editors instead, and have all of them search out stories. And then what that means is if a story pops up, we've actually got a choice of a few people who could do it. And in the case that someone can't, we will still use that breaking news group chat to then give it to a volunteer who's interested in getting the story. So I think having that system set up where there's a few more people involved with it will definitely help us cover everything across campus. And also part of my manifesto, part of my pledges include some short form video articles on the Courier Instagram. And what that would mean is we could get out videos really, really quickly on breaking news stories. So short 30 second to a minute videos covering big events on campus. I think that will really help with our engagement and help us to spread the word about things that go on.
I'm the same. I've really enjoyed the breaking news role and team this year. I think that next year, because we've trialled it this year, there's so much room to improve on. I think that having a team full of sub-editors is a really good idea because while one can be writing, one can be editing. My hope is that next year we'll be able to get it written and published in 3 hours on the Courier, and then hopefully if we're expanding on the weekly bulletin, which is one of the ideas that I really want to do because I really enjoyed the introduction of that as well, is to then recap them all within the bulletin. So get them out in print journalism first and then recap them in the video format later, just because I know that sometimes it can take a little bit longer with editing videos, and because it's such a new role and a new team, it just might take a while to get it up and running properly.
Quite similar. I've also enjoyed the introduction of breaking news. I do think kind of similar to the improvement that we should include them more in SMAs, not so much as you pick your articles here and then, but make it more of a thing so it's not just on group chats and you have to rely on people who are active on WhatsApp to come across. Because I know a lot of people aren't as active on their phones or text messages. I think it should become more of an implementary, almost like on PowerPoints, or have its own section, a bit like NSR and NUTV have around other sections in the SMAs. And also do something similar where if you are to write that, kind of the training beforehand to understand the quick pace, the media law behind it, and to get things there out and quick and edit them in time so then we're in time with when they come out in other newspapers around the UK.
Yeah, so I agree with what they've all said, but also one of the reasons why I think breaking news is really important because it's an opportunity to introduce a new role and a dedicated team, so that encourages more people to actually join the sub-editing team so we can elect more people to spearhead that, more students. And also one of my pledges is to kind of further unite NSR, TV and the Courier on social media, so to collaborate for bigger, bolder stories like breaking news, so more cross social media collaboration like thematic video series, and yeah, just get more people involved really, because I think there is still room for a more diverse team. Obviously the team we've got now is great, but encouraging people from all areas of the university, degree, interest, yeah, just to broaden the outreach really. I think there's definitely room to do that.
So yeah, I agree with the engagement, and one of my pledges is to provide training and do more collaboration for that specific, and increase the team if it's required, because it's a lot to do for one people or one team, and maybe welcome people from different sorts of degrees, because mostly it's from media as of now. So if we can welcome from other sorts of sectors, so that would be great. So that's
Brilliant. And if a student asks to write about a very controversial topic to do with anything really, how would you go about your concerns for that, and how would you article out?
Okay, well, I mean, we've had a few cases of this year where an article gets submitted and it is a bit on like the controversial side, and we have to do some editing to, make it turn out that we can actually publish it. Because sometimes we have to, be very careful with the things we put out. I think that if someone does come with a bit of a controversial topic, having a sit down before it gets written on the direction that the article would take and what it would discuss would be very important, just to avoid as I said, sort of discussing controversial topics. I think that's probably the best way to do it.
I think there's two ways you can look at it. I think the first one is that how relevant is it to the students? How relevant is it to our readership and the people that are engaging with what we put out? Because obviously sometimes these topics are really triggering and sometimes they're actually not in the interest of students. So I would look at that angle first. I think the second thing is my last pledge is to introduce a mentorship program. So obviously at the moment with our breaking news team, it's sub-editors strictly only because they've had the training and they know how to engage with these materials. However, if writers are the ones that are pitching these types of articles that are really controversial but they really want to write them, with this mentorship program they can work alongside an existing volunteer to properly produce a really good piece of media that we can actually publish with the support from somebody else, so that they don't go through the process completely on their own for their own well-being, but also because they haven't had the training and stuff needed to kind of publish those types of articles.
It's kind of similar. My main concern automatically with when we've had these articles come through is the fact that at the end of the day we are a student newspaper and we have to be very considerate for our readers and for other writers as well, because kind of being shown those topics are probably not the best for students if they avoid other newscapes. We don't want to be the one that triggers other students. But also similar, what I would kind of implement is almost like the breaking news thing where I said that we have our own section kind of in the SMA. I've noticed that a lot of news writers who want to write these articles are very much news based. I think it would be very beneficial towards these writers and sort of readers as well if we were to sit down with them almost as if they were their own editorial group and explain the training behind it, how to write it, what are your ideas, what would you like to write, or we would suggest wording it this way. But again, also with other things like media law, trigger warnings, student kind of voices, making sure that it's not so one-sided that we then don't become a student paper anymore and we just become kind of like any other paper. This paper is for the students and I really want to make sure that it stays within that and it's supportive of everyone.
Yeah, so just a caveat from what Sarah said, we are a student newspaper at the end of the day. Every student's opinion deserves to be heard, but equally we need to be really conscientious of our values as a newspaper, that with these controversial topics we aren't offending everyone like you've mentioned, but people still have the opportunity to truly voice their opinions. So it would kind of just be maybe from an allocated member of the team who's purely based on the direction of stories that we could take, goes over that with the writer who's pitching it and kind of just asks their motivations, like, why this is a controversial story, why are you wanting to put this out there, are your intentions good, and if not, steer them potentially in a different direction but in a nice way, because at the end of the day, yes, it is a student newspaper, so we want them to have the opportunity to share what they truly want to voice, but in the most just conscientious and nice way possible, if that makes sense.
So I believe in freedom of speech, so as much as it can be. So most likely I'll allow those kind of posts, but the thing is we really should provide some context on that and maybe rewrite it in a way that it's more understandable to everyone and it's not just like a straight up their own opinion piece. So we should provide some context and change the way it is, because I think it should be published, everything should be there, nothing should be stopped.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time. Please vote.
Hi everyone, I'm Julius. I study biomedical sciences, and the pledge that I'm focusing on for well-being is strengthening connections between the student community and external organizations. I started volunteering recently with Food and Solidarity, and I think they do really solid work with like stuff in connection to food banks as well as housing rights. And as a well-being candidate, one of the things that we care about is well-being, obviously, but also housing, finances, inclusion, and all that good stuff.
Hiya, I'm Erin. I'm a third year media communications and culture student. One of my key priorities is keeping minority students safe on campus and off campus. We know that violence against women and girls has been declared a national emergency, and we had the riots over summer, which were really brushed over, and I know were scary for a lot of people, a lot of my friends. So I think everyone deserves the right to feel safe on campus, so I think that has to be a key priority. There are a lot of things that I kind of want to put in place. I want to speak to people and ask actually what do they think is needed and what would benefit them. I can't speak for everyone, and I'm not going to know everyone's take on it, so definitely speak and get an outreach from everyone else as well. And also want to start a nightline that people can call into, separate from the mental health version, and so people can call in when they're walking home at night or if they need help on a night out. More of a preventative measure. I know we have, you can call security at any time on campus, but that's kind of after something's happened, so definitely looking at like preventative measures for keeping students safe on campus is definitely something really important. So that's something that's really important to me and I think should be a key priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Lily Allen and I'm one of the candidates here today for Wellbeing Communities Officer. So one of the main things I would really like to do and I intend on doing is ensuring that we shift the conversation away from mental health and instead to mental well-being. I feel that as soon as you bring health into a situation, we encourage negative competition and for people to make comparisons between themselves, when it's so important that individuals are treated as individuals rather than being placed into a collective box. One of the ways I really intend on doing this is creating activities, for instance, coffee afternoons and arts and craft evenings, where people have the ability to come and whether that be for the purpose of distraction, of finding a new community, of finding new friends, I think that would be a great opportunity at ensuring that we are spreading positivity and good vibes while allowing people to have the space to navigate their own emotions. I feel like for me personally, being able to feel comfortable speaking to someone and then being able to then access support and all the encouragement for guidance is so much easier when you feel able to speak. So something that I will really hone in on is the fact that while your problem, your issue, your concern, whatever is affecting you at that given moment isn't the same as the next person, that doesn't mean it's any more or less important, and that if we all come together and we all work together and appreciate everyone's differences and appreciate the fact that people have different struggles, we absolutely can and will find ways to navigate and improve anyone's situation.
Hi everyone, my name is Elijah Wright and I'm also running for Wellbeing and Communities Officer. I'm in the final year of the Digital Cultures and Media program, and one of my pledges I want to highlight is the marginalized communities one. I want to really support, listen to, and protect our marginalized communities, and one of the ways I intend to do this is really develop a strong relationship with the liberation officers for each group, so I could better understand their needs and what each of these, what I should prioritize in focusing on those groups. And individually, I have personal experience with with a lot of them. So I have like specific initiatives I want to implement. For example, for international students, I want to develop a university partnership with a housing guarantor service. This would reduce the barrier of getting off-campus housing for many students, not just international students. And then also, I want to prioritize protecting queer students, queer and trans students. I want to streamline the process of changing name and gender markers on university records, because personally, I've undergone that process and it's taken almost a full year to do that. I want to create more queer safe spaces around campus, including more gender neutral bathrooms. And then another one of my ideas for the specific initiatives is I want to create neurodivergent employment sessions with the career service so people could get more confident going into employment after university. Those are some of the specific initiatives with groups I have personal experience with, but I do plan to develop that strong relationship with liberation officers to come up with more ideas for all the other community groups.
Hello, my name is Faraz, and I'm also the part of committee well-being committee member. So I'm a master student from business school. So I'm studying business ethics. So I have like some of the 4 playlists. On top of that, I have a priority for LGBTQ support, and also for this international student who sometimes they face racism, and like they are very afraid to tell about the racism they are facing with other students. They are like, so it's like support for them every other time when they're in need for the support. And apart from this, there is also like I'm planning to collaborate with the other staff and committee from Newcastle Council. I'm also planning to commit with the Newcastle Council and also landlords for the off-campus safety. And apart from safety, it's all about the financials. It's really hard when I go for the living spaces after my academic year. So I need to pay like 1 week of commission. It's nearly like £200 for this commission. So I need to make sure that whenever I go for the next time you go for I need to collaborate with agencies. So if you are a student from Newcastle, you'll be getting a student discount on top of that. And about pantry, there'll be like twice refilling of this pantry stuff. And about the initiative idea, so I'm planning to open up with this store, like a store where like thrift store where you can come up with and swipe, buy and sell your clothes with sustainability. So it's also include a sustainability and also create a very free space for the other students, and also come up with the harm reduction where students need to know about what is the harm for them, alcohol, consuming alcohol and all this safety and security for the students. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful. I'm now going to ask you individual questions about your individual pledges, and we're going to start this side, even though I know you've just gone. So you say that one of your priorities is improving student housing. What incentives would you offer landlords in order to do that? How would you persuade them?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'll be collaborating with Newcastle Council also. It's really hard task to do, but if you are a member of, you are working for university, it's definitely easier for you to communicate with them. So definitely I'll communicate with the student council and also with the landlord agencies, whichever in Newcastle, because it's really hard to find accommodation after once you're done with the student accommodation. When you go for this separate accommodation, it's really hard to get a safe test. And it's also about the safety. Sometimes you get a landlord which you are not satisfied with, but it's more like you get a fear because you don't want to move out straight away from your house. So you will, if anything suspicious, anything wrong is happening with the landlords, you can report about the landlords thing. As I'm already working with Hisham and all the other members from Wellbeing Committee, so we are already part of that ACT committee members. So yeah, I'll just carry forward that thing for the next year as well.
Thank you very much. Elijah, you said that in one of your pledges that you'd like to tackle campus violence by introducing in-person consent and substance safety workshops. Who would you target to attend these, and how would you get them to attend?
So honestly, in my pledge, I didn't specify, but I would like to make these mandatory during induction week. Because right now they are on Canvas. I've talked to some committee members on It Happens Here Society, and they do have these safety modules on Canvas, but a lot of people don't know these exist, or maybe just quickly click through them. So I would like to make these workshops mandatory during induction week, and then also have just optional ones throughout the year for anyone who wants those. But like for substance safety, for example, maybe a lot more people would attend those like optionally, but like consent, people who need the consent trainings aren't going to show up for the consent trainings unless they're mandatory. So I think put them in induction week, or even get lecturers to give just a short spiel about it before just normal lectures to make sure that all students access this important information.
Thank you. Lily, you've focused a lot on increasing student safety at night. What steps would you like to see local authorities and nightclubs take to improve the student experience?
So I think that unfortunately quite a lot of the issue and the lack of safety students properly have at night stems from the fact that there isn't anyone taking accountability and there isn't anyone going the extra step. So for me personally, I was lucky enough to be the secretary, social secretary for Newcastle Northern Angels last year, and a lot of that was eye-opening and realising how with places like Wonderbar, with places like Tup Tup, with places like Soho, people are so quick to just leave and go, right, okay, that's the end of the night, this, that and the other. I think that it's a responsibility of myself, for instance, to ensure these connections are maintained and to make sure that people aren't leaving places by themselves. And this comes from communication with bar and club owners to ensure this doesn't happen. And also, something that I would really like to look into is making connections and further connections with taxi companies. So I'm fully aware that students currently can give your student ID number, you can, help a friend, you can support them, you've got social media so you can access your friends and you can communicate with them. But I still think that not enough people are perhaps vigilant enough, and I feel that we need to go the extra mile. So that's something that I'm really interested in communicating with bar and club owners to kind of acknowledge the severity but also provide solution, because I think that you can't have a solution without strategy.
Lovely, thank you. Erin, you said that you'd like to make education more accessible to disabled students. What are some current barriers that disabled students face at Newcastle University, and how would you seek to counteract these?
So I'm autistic and I have ADHD, so I personally have experienced some barriers. I know my experiences are going to be different to other people who are autistic or have ADHD or any other kind of neurodiversity or any other disability. It's all very different. But I think one of the things that we struggle with the most is focused on SSPs. I think student support plans aren't kind of looked through enough. I don't think lecturers kind of look at them or really truly understand how to support students with them. I recently took part in a educational video with Leo, the president, to be sent to lecturers to kind of further help educate lecturers on how to manage disability in the classroom, but I think there definitely still needs to be more work done around that. Maybe produce some workshops for teachers to go to, and I want to make sure that we do some workshops for disabled students to provide a little bit more accessibility into education. I think there's a lot of issues with attendance and being able to participate if you can't make it to the session. I think recap should be compulsory for all lecturers to use, because sometimes it's not students' fault if they can't make it, and I don't think that students should be excluded if their disability holds them back in that area. And I think sometimes with assessments and PECs can be really scary to kind of apply for. There's lots of barriers and sometimes they're not immediately accepted, and the terms can be really tricky. So a little bit more guidance on PECs and make it a little bit easier, and do a little bit more education on how to submit a PEC. But small things like this can really help. I don't think accessibility takes away from able-bodied people. I think that's something that's really important, is anything you put in place for disabled students automatically helps able-bodied people as well. It's not taking away from one other and giving to another. It benefits everyone. So it's really important that we kind of put resources into that, because it's not just helping one group of people. It makes it easier for everyone. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Julius, for
Hi.
you, you've said that you'd like to reduce isolation in the student body. What do you think are some of the factors that contribute towards isolation, and how would you seek to counteract these?
I mean, I think different groups are probably more likely to feel isolated. So before, like during the break, we were talking about different groups, including like disabled students, where if you have mobility issues, you might not be able to go out to socials as easily. Or if you're neurodivergent, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of neurodivergent people here at university, but like you might be isolated because like you might not know how to read certain social cues, or you might miss something, or you might have just had a bad experience with like socializing growing up, and that can be like traumatizing in its own kind of way. I've had friends who are mature students, and I think if there's like an age gap between you and the other like main body of students here, that can be a bit isolating, because you might be, struggling with different things. If you're a student who's, I mean, I don't personally know anyone who's been estranged, but that can be an issue. Estranged students, as well as students who are carers and have like unique responsibilities on top of their studies, that can be isolating. I'm trying to think if I've like missed anyone else out in like the different ways that people can be isolated, because like anyone could be isolated or feel isolated, even if you're just like someone who just lacks a bit of confidence. It can be, it's a very common thing to feel lonely when you make a milestone and make a big change in your life, even if it's like a positive thing like going to university. So I think awareness around that and like making sure that we're having those conversations and that there's not that stigma there is important for people to not feel isolated and to feel included.
Lovely, that's great.
Thank you.
I'm seeing a lot of nods around. Could we go back down the line and very quickly, could you just say one thing that another candidate said that you agree with?
Oh my god, just one thing. I think you were all making great points. Oh my god, okay. Ooh. I mean, okay, I like the, can I say one thing for like each person?
Just the one,
Oh my God,
sorry.
Okay, right. I really like the focus you drew on like trans students and like making the name change thing easier, because I've also gone through the process of changing my name, Slay. So yeah, I appreciate that.
I really like what you said about isolated students. I think a lot of people feel isolated when they come to uni. For a lot of people, it's their first time away from home, and there's a lot of distance, and a lot of people have to adjust to that, and it can be really difficult. So I think a lot of students feel isolated, and it's definitely something that needs to be tackled.
I really liked, Elijah, how you were saying about making consent sessions mandatory. I feel that consent anyway is an incredibly grey area. I think that if you ask someone to define what consent is, we'd find that there is no fixed definition, and in some ways it is still considered a very taboo subject area due to the subject sensitivity. I think that your approach in acknowledging the need for consent and how people perhaps most needing these consent sessions are unlikely to attend. Making it mandatory, I feel, avoids this blame culture and also helps prevent issue from escalating rather than trying to point at a minority and shift the blame when I think it's a much bigger problem than maybe people let on. So I think that was really great.
I mean, I agree with a lot of points that like everyone has said. I'd like to highlight Erin's point about like neurodivergent students, because like things like SSPs, they're just, a lot of the times they're very like standard, and they're not specific to what each student needs. And then I've also heard that a lot of the times they give like permission for things that are already allowed, like stepping out of the room in a seminar, like that might already be like a thing that someone could just do. They could just walk out. So making those more specific to students, I think was what Erin was getting at. So I think that's a really important thing to highlight for especially neurodivergent students.
Yeah, I really love the point for the isolation, because as an industry student, I'm coming here after a very long time. I've never been out from my home, and I'm really underconfident when it's come to stage fear. I have a lot of fear about speaking in front of cameras anywhere. But yeah, that's the point about isolation. It's a good thing. But when I come to Newcastle, I feel so isolated. I feel like have no idea, no one. I have no idea about anyone. I don't know anyone here, but still, people from Newcastle is really good compared to all the other parts of England. So it's a good thing, because I've been to London. People like Beetroot compared to Newcastle. So yeah, so it's a good thing about isolation. People should get to around with some people to get not be in isolated thing. It's that isolation leads to depression, and we know all depression leads to so much things. So yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your answers, and you've done great in front of the camera. Well done, and make sure you go vote.
These are your prospective academic officers, and I am going to be asking them a few questions. But first, I'd like them to introduce themselves. So if you could just go down and introduce yourselves and your current roles within the university.
Hi, I'm Gina Tyndale, and I'm a third-year undergraduate of English Literature.
Hiya, I'm doing a biomedical science degree. Oh, I'm Suhaila.
Hi there, I'm Jasmine Banks and I'm the current Education Sabbatical Officer.
Hi, I'm Kieran Johnson. I'm a third-year literature student and the current Cell School rep.
Hi, I'm Jasmine McGee and I'm completing my Masters in Media Society and Culture.
Perfect. Thank you all for introducing yourself. So I've just got a few questions that I would like to ask you all to answer, and then I've got one or two, if we get to them, that are aimed at you individually. So first of all, there's quite a lot of references within your pledges to student staff committees. But how do you intend to maintain, I suppose, consistency between the relationships and interactions between students and staff beyond those committees and beyond sort of that sort of being put in place?
Sorry, is it all right if I pass the mic? I just want a little more time to think through my answer.
Of course.
I'm happy to start. I think that's a really good point, that student staff committees are quite relied upon quite heavily for that student-staff relationship, and I think they're utilised very differently throughout the whole university. So maintaining a relationship between students and staff outside of those rooms is admittedly very difficult. And I think, personally, I would like to introduce faculty reps that I think would become part of that kind of stream of student feedback from SSCs to, I suppose, through school reps and faculty reps up to NUSU and then up to university management, which I believe would enhance that kind of hierarchy of connections between students and staff, empower that student voice, and hopefully give students more power in those rooms with faculty in order to maintain that relationship.
Yeah.
So again, it is very difficult to maintain relationships between students and staff outside of the student staff committee. But beyond that, I think there's an inherent flaw in how the student staff committees are working. Because I think there's a sort of an idea on the part of the staff to maintain a great distance from the students in those committees. It's almost as if it's more an opportunity for staff to hear feedback and not necessarily engage with students as if they're on an equal footing in that room. In my pledge that redesigns the student staff committees more akin to advisory bodies for the staff, that would sort of level the playing field a bit and give students more power by staff coming with very specific goals and to feed back on specific discussions in their school. It gives the reps an opportunity to be very targeted in how they approach this with staff, so it means that they can engage in more detailed, healthy debate and discussion, which will hopefully build a sense of collaboration. So when the student reps then bring their own ideas, hopefully that will be replicated in staff's response to that. It could also help build relationships between reps and their constituents, or between staff and other constituents, because the reps will be able to ask for very specific feedback, and I think that students might be more likely to offer feedback to SSC reps, which currently is quite limited, if they know very specifically what it is that they're going to be talking about and how that will impact their degree. So it's given students more power whilst also giving staff very specific focuses and guiding them in how to approach the SSCs.
I think it's a really good thing what you said, the holding people accountable essentially. And I think in a very broad sense, in a very crude sense, what happens in SSC meetings essentially stays in SSC meetings. And I think that is the core of the problem. The students that are on the SSC know what's going on. The staff that are on the SSC know what's going on. And that feels at the moment that's where it ends. The rest of the students in the cohort tend to not be aware of what's happening, what's being discussed, and even worse, the outcomes of it. So I think to focus on the student staff relationship, it's the staff have
kind of an obligation to share what they have done, not just to the other students in the SSE, but to the cohort, and so then everyone can hold them accountable and everyone knows what's going on. And in a similar vein, I think what I've noticed in my pledge is the feedback that you get from the rest of your cohort is very limited, because people don't know where to reach you, they don't know where you are, they don't know what to say, they don't know what you're looking for. So working on the engagement with the general body will increase the amount of feedback that you can give to your staff, the amount of things that staff can do on your feedback, and then relay it back to the rest of your cohort. And I think that will just help to build and just gradually show the connection between your staff and your students, because you're all on the same page. There's a lot of unknown at the moment, a lot of things that happen in rooms that no one's in. So keeping that kind of that door open and everyone knows what's going on will make the relationship a lot easier to build, I think.
I almost forgot the question for a second. All right. So for context, I've joined almost every single student staff committee that my cohort has ever run, either sometimes as chair, well, for a year as chair and for a year as an EDI rep. And what I notice in those meetings is that you would, like everyone said, sometimes it's a very positive environment. You're getting a lot of it. And I can trust the system. I trust the academics because they're telling it to me straight. But no matter how much you can try, it's hard to kind of relay that to the rest of the cohort. And every year, you know, we've implemented different things in SSC and they have improved. But I would like to cite that the main problem, like the core of it, is just, it's a lack of trust in the SSC. Most students don't really believe or trust that the SSC could solve their problem. They're not even bothered, even if they have the problems and the complaints. And I would bring back whatever solutions that we can implement. I think solving that core first is how we move forward. And my pledge works towards solving that core process, but what hopefully that will kind of has a positive consequence in the future, where just the students are much more engaged with the staff. They know why certain things are in the module the way that they are. Sometimes all it takes is for a module leader to tell you, I'm doing it this way because of this. And wow, everybody's happy. There are no complaints. So when we bring that trust back, we naturally, automatically, that relationship will grow and it will flourish. And that's my point.
Yeah, so I agree with all the points about, you know, there is low trust in the SSC because it's hard for students, if you're not in those meetings, to see what changes are being made. And my second pledge for improving the taught student experience is actually to increase opportunities for students to give feedback to lecturers directly on module content teaching, and for lecturers to demonstrate how they respond. So it's outside of the SSC, but it's a way for students to see that their voices are being listened to and to build trust with lecturers, like they're listening, here are the changes they're making, directly in front of you on the modules you're taking, where you can directly see it impacting you. And when you can do things like that, it fosters that wider trust in the SSC, because you're seeing it on the smaller level, so you can see it on the wider scale. You're more likely to come to the SSC with your problems. So it's about targeting it outside of those student groups within the lectures themselves as well.
Well, thank you for your responses to that. Just picking up on something you've said, I'm going to open this up to all of you about taught teaching. I'm just interested in how your pledges on improving the academic experience of taught students kind of dovetails or intersects with helping the experiences of those who are postgraduate researchers and those who are research students as well. So, if you want to start.
Well, my idea to let students give feedback is also applicable to research students. Of course, research students also have to have meetings with staff members, and it's obviously also applicable that they would have qualms, queries, criticism of how that research, you know, those meetings are handled. So giving students a chance for feedback is always positive, and it always helps develop positive changes in the community.
Can I just confirm, you're asking about PGR experience, just so I understood that correctly. All right, so my pledge came from quite literally listening to pretty much every PGR that I've ever met. And the problem with that is that when it comes to supervisors, it's very hit or miss. And we are a university that prides ourselves on being, you know, a top research university. We can't have like supervisors absolutely like ghosting people for months. Sorry to use the word ghosting, but the idea is that that can't be acceptable. We have to kind of have a minimum. And I know there are some practices in place, but clearly they're not working because it's a very difficult thing to complain or to raise an issue against your supervisor, which just makes a problem worse. So that would be the thing. And the other slightly tangent to that is the core problem may not necessarily be in the supervisors themselves. A lot of our researchers, a lot of our supervisors, a lot of our academics, they're passionate about what they do. They love it and they want to help you. They want to mentor you. We just have maybe like a disproportionate, or I would say slightly mismanagement of resources, because you will have an academic absolutely like swamped. They barely have the chance to work and to help with, with their PhD students. So I think that's also a core problem that we need to solve. It's not just about, telling academics to do their job better, because a lot of them are trying really hard. Just, again, that's from our experience.
Thank you. I think at the moment there is a quite noticeable disconnect between the PGR student community and the Students' Union. I think as the university grows and grows and grows, there's been such a focus specifically on undergraduate programs that PGRs can quite often be left out. So from speaking to some PGR students, the sense of belonging within the Newcastle student community is something that's really important and impactful for students to feel kind of happier and part of that part of a Newcastle unit, as it were, and those kind of positive associations with the university we know can lead to kind of better results, I suppose, and creating that sense of community is so important, especially when lots of our PGR students are international students, come from so many different educational backgrounds. Some have children, some commute. There's such a wide variety of students in that cohort alone that I think it's really important to listen to their specific complex needs and establish a much better line of communication between ourselves and the PGR community than we have it at the moment. Whether that be in PGR-specific kind of forums or committees, I think we really need to hone in on that, because there is not one problem within the PGR student community. There's many, because all of those individual circumstances are so unique. So my pledge, I suppose, is to strengthen that connection with the PGR community in a way that works for them and meeting those PGR students where they're at.
There is not just an intersection between my pledge for PGR students and for taught students. My whole campaign is centered around the core ideal of creating an education for your future, and it deals with ideas of employability, careers, the skills you learn, and it's really about what comes next. So whilst PGR students will also benefit from my pledge for taught students about re-evaluating office hours and making it a more open space to approach academics to discuss your own interests and build connections to different industries. More specifically for PGR students, I would like to create a mentorship program that will sort of help prepare them for all aspects of their lives in academia and their research after they have their qualification, after they no longer have direct supervisors. So this will allow senior academics and experienced researchers to help them consider how to develop the best teaching practices and how to apply for research grants and how to look at getting different positions. So that really not only are PGR students supported in their own work for their qualifications, but they know that with this qualification they're not going to have wasted however many years getting it. They're going to know it's going to lead to something else, just as taught students are going to know that what they're learning on the degree, they're not just getting loads of information about, I don't know, the world wars. They're going to know that what they're actually doing is going to benefit them in the future, even if it might not directly link to maybe what they're asked to do as part of their degree.
I think my campaign generally regarding all students focuses around accessibility and the individual's well-being as an academic. So specifically in regard to postgrad, especially researchers, a researcher that is burnt out and is stressed about money and stressed about everything that's outside of academics could not be a good researcher. They do not have the facilities to go and do that. In order for us to have the most flourished researchers, we need to make sure that the individuals are okay and are looked after, and we have a proper pastoral team to make sure that they are tended to, essentially. So as a postgrad student myself, I understand that money and finance for postgrad is abysmal. It's every postgrad researcher and every postgrad taught student that I know has to work in order to live, as well as researching, and that is a horrific source of burnout. So to look after and to make sure that these students are able to conduct their research that they are so passionate about, we need to make sure that they're okay first. So I want to point people who may be struggling in the direction of services and support that exist that aren't necessarily well advertised. So the hardship funds with the student services team, looking at the things that are in place to make sure that you can get extensions if you need it, you can get support plans if you need it, you can have things put in place to ensure that your personal circumstances that exist outside of academics that may be impacting your research will make sure that you are able to conduct that. It's about looking after the individual to make sure that the entire university research team is as good and as strong and out there as we can be. So it's bringing to the attention the services that exist and advertising it more. So I personally received the hardship fund during my undergrad, and it is available for postgrads as well, but it is really, really well hidden on the Student Union website. It is horrifically difficult to get to and find, and it is so helpful. It made or braked my undergraduate experience. And if individuals know that it's there and know that they can use it to aid with, personal things, but academic specific cost of living crisis, it will just make all that difference to the research that they are actually conducting. We need to look after the person first to make sure that the research is going to happen.
Okay, thank you. I guess, there was a lot of talk there about academic barriers and barriers to academia. Just briefly, what do you see them as? What are them barriers? And how would you sort of go about removing them and trying to remove them? So, would you like to start?
Yeah. I mean, it is very, very similar to what I've just said. I think the biggest barrier in academics at the moment is everything that isn't academics. It is the world that we live in. It is the cost of living crisis. It is stressing. It's not knowing, how much you're getting paid next month, what you're going to eat, things like that. That is what is impacting academics the most for individuals, is the extenuating circumstances that happen outside of academia. Once we have students and researchers that are well equipped emotionally, physically, mentally to enter the research realm and conduct the thing that they are so passionate about, that is when we can tackle things within the academic vicinity, essentially. We need to make sure that the individuals are okay first. And then we can look at the nitty-gritty of how things get passed and how things, like communication within faculties. If we've got no one in the faculties or no one that is conducting research or no one that is able to do research, there's no point of having the faculty. We need to have the people there that are well equipped and well supported to make sure they can conduct their research. That to me is the biggest barrier. That is the biggest barrier I faced. That is the biggest barrier that I know many other people have faced. Not many people want to drop out of academia because they don't like it. It's because everything else is impacting them. We need to look after the individual first to make sure that they are supported.
Thank you very much. We are very tight for time. So if we could just go through very quickly just what you identify those key class barriers as being, or barriers in general, then we'll wrap up.
There are so many barriers that I know I and many other students have faced. There could be financial, emotional, things going on in their personal life. And really, to address those, we have to acknowledge that every single individual within the university is different. And that's what my whole campaign will look at as part of guiding you for your future. It will allow you to engage in careers workshops about all different things, allow you to speak one-on-one academics about your personal interests, and make sure that you have all the things you individually need that will address your specific barriers, that you're not just one lost in the big mix of students that we have.
I would completely agree with you, Jasmine, about those barriers, and I think my my campaign is kind of looking at it in the opposite direction, as in trying to, I suppose, fix things from the inside out, as in access and participation in higher education is so hard at the moment for so many different types of students. And I believe that two of my pledges, which are to move away from traditional pen and paper exams and to work with the university to embed well-being and employability in the curriculum itself, will be one of those projects that the outcome will equip students, like you've said, Kieran, to equip them with the skills that they need for their future, not just from the knowledge on their degree, but the skills that they have developed along the way, such as leadership and collaboration and what have you. So I think it's so important to create an education that is equitable, that wherein students don't struggle within the academic space, and that is agile and understanding of the fact that students' lives now are different than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Right, so naturally agree with everything that everyone said. So I won't go through that again. I'll just take a look at the question in a different way. I'm thinking about students that are already in academia and want to continue. What barriers are they currently having? I think one of it is the fact that we don't test students and we don't teach them the skills that you actually need to be an academic. We just teach them content. We are sometimes improving how we're teaching that content, but at the same time, you're not learning resilience within your course just because you have a lot of deadlines in one time. That's not really the way that you would need a good scientist to become, for example. Just as a scientist, I don't know about whatever. The second thing is just linking to a pledge that I had, and Jasmine talked about equity. One of my pledges was to support menstruating students because there's so many statistics, but I think okay, I won't, they're on my pledges, they're on the website, but the point is menstruating students face a lot of difficulties, a lot of barriers to education, whether it's missing classes, deadlines, assignments. I think there is a way to do it and still be equitable and fair and finding a way to make sure it's not abused. And it's needed. It's affecting too many students, far too much in their degrees. Thanks.
Again, I would agree with everything that's been mentioned, but I would also like to look at it from the perspective of, we have a team of sabbatical officers, we have, well-being SABs who, in my role as an academic officer, it's my job to work with them as a team to address all these other issues, but also to focus on the academic side. So for instance, my new initiative, which is the essay bank idea to illuminate grading standards, it's a way of making the academic side of things clear for students. How are you going to be graded? How can you give feedback? And how can you see it's acted upon? And then we can work as a team with the other sabbatical officers to deal with these other barriers into education.
Great, thank you so much, guys, for chatting. Sorry we were a bit pushed for time, but thank you very much, and thank you to everyone. No? Okay, thank you.
Are we walking? Are we? Who wants this?
Hello.
Okay, so we are now here with Joe Morris,
Hello, everyone.
who is campaigning for the Remain for the NUS survey. Now, can you please explain what the NUS is?
So the NUS is the National Union of Students. So what that is, it's like a big student union for all of the different student unions across the UK. 95% of student unions are involved, and it represents over 7 million students. So it is a big organisation, and it represents our interests on a national level and an international level as well.
Okay, so you're obviously campaigning for the Remain.
Yes.
Tell us why.
I'm campaigning for Remain because I believe, our campaign believes that we are stronger together. So as I mentioned, the 95% of people, 95% of student unions are involved in the NUS, and I believe that we're stronger together. There are loads of different reasons. I've got loads of leaflets, so if you want to come along I'll be around campus all the time, so come get a leaflet off me. So I believe national representation, obviously, if we're in Newcastle University, if we're not affiliated with the NUS, then our views aren't going to be represented by the NUS, because obviously we're not in it. But being a student being a student in a university that's a part of the NUS gets you loads of discounts and stuff. So on the NUS website, they've got a big list of discounts that membership with them involves, and they've got a couple of affiliated discount cards as well. The NUS offers loads of student support, so they've got a student urgent action fund, which is really good, which has helped loads of students. Over the course of the whole cost of living crisis, they've given over £500 million to students across the UK, which obviously wouldn't be available if we weren't affiliated with them. As well, they also save students £1 billion across the UK, and obviously, if we want to get those sort of savings and want the representation when we're lobbying government, then we obviously should be involved. The argument for the downside is that it costs a bit too much. It costs 35 grand a year, which I don't think for the wealth of benefits that it actually brings the university and brings the university students. I don't think 35 grand is that much money compared to what it brings. But yeah, so we've got the student urgent action fund, and it's also got loads of student hubs as well. So they've got a cost of living hub, they've got a housing hub, so to get advice about renting and stuff like that. They've got a workplace hub, so sort of trade union advice, and also got a climate change hub as well. So yeah. Perfect.
So when/how do we vote?
So you will scan this little QR code here from the 4th. I think it's 10 o'clock on the 4th of March to 4 o'clock on the 6th of March. Same way you vote for all the other candidates and for all the other stuff. It's a referendum page. Vote yes to NUS.
Lovely. Do you have anything else that you want to
add? Just vote yes to NUS. Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.